Yeah, so I take the James E. Byers proposal quite literal, and my question at the moment is, can there be a progress which is not a technological progress? And I will try to unfold this question a little bit. So I'm going to phrase it a little bit longer, which is, can there be a progress which is not technological progress, but which takes the economical function of technological progress? So first maybe to start with to say it in very simple words, what is the function of technological progress in our economic formation at the moment? So, or why is it important, or what does this progress do? What does this process do? I mean, on the one hand, at the one end of the process, it's inevitable. We are humans, and we tend to repeat doing things. And because we repeat doing things, wanting it or not, we tend to get better at doing them and becoming more effective. So we can do things with less effort or in less time. No? Applied to kind of a national level or a kind of sociological or global level, or societal level, that means that less people can do what was done before by more people. No? This is something we all know, with the kind of substituting of jobs through machines, and has been widely discussed in every area we can imagine. So, but the technological progress has a second function, and that is at the same time to conquer new areas of activity, basically. Yeah? So on the one hand, it diminishes certain areas. So let's say today our basic needs, there are figures which I'm not an expert on, but like 5 to 20% of our population can produce what we need as basic needs. Yeah? So we are much more effective than other times on these things. And at the same time, technological progress can then open up new fields of occupation, right, in the widest sense of the word occupation. Yeah? Things, something to do, but also things where we can have a job and we can have an income. Yeah? So that I would see as the task, the economical function of progress. Why I outline this is because I'm not interested in discussion of a kind of philosophical discussion of the concept or historical discussion of the concept of progress. I'm interested in economical function, because that's where I think it still has a relevance, and it is also still used. And so obviously, the smaller problem is when this process of progress gets out of balance. That is, that if it doesn't innovate, let's say on the kind of conquering level, doesn't innovate strong enough, but on the kind of effective level, it is too effective. Yeah? That means that obviously people are without occupation or without possibilities of income. So what is the problem with technological progress? I think that there are two problems. The one is, to put it maybe a bit bluntly, it's boredom. No? To put it very formal, is the kind of a decreasing in the marginal utility of technological progress in respect of quality of life. So maybe to put it in between them, very blunt and a very formal way, it means that, this would be a thesis which is mine, but a lot of other people will probably sign, is that today, let's say, a technological innovation has a very, very small impact on our quality of life. If you think of the invention of electricity, the quality of life, at least some people could argue, changes. Yeah? But if we have the newest chip or an iPod versus a Walkman, the quality of life change that induces is quite small. So on one hand we have a problem with technological progress that one would think that we would invest in such a progress because it actually has an effect on our quality of life, but we realize it doesn't. And then the major problem, of course, so not this issue of boredom, of inefficiency, the second problem is of course the problem of counterproductiveness. That is that obviously we involve in technological progress because we want things to get better and not to get worse. So let's say since the 1950s, 1960s in Western civilizations, where we are starting to encounter this problem on a kind of level which is actually being discussed, that the side effects or the negative effects of technological progress are quite massive, and this again are things all of you know, which means on the input side there are resources for such technological processes are finite, and on the other hand what such processes put out on the other side also have consequences which are at least have to be seriously considered in terms of if we're interested in our own race to continue living. Now these are well-known things. So let's say in this formation, we could easily say, so if on the one hand technological progress is not really bringing us a lot anymore, and on the other hand is even really quite problematic, why don't we just, it loses its logical kind of foundation, then there's no need to do it. We can just kind of enter a state of a kind of equilibrium state where just not invest in this process anymore. And so the question would be, why is this not possible? Why is it not possible to escape investing in such a process? And I think the thing, this has something to do then with the market. And this is something that I'm personally, it's maybe something that drives me, that I think that there's a very dangerous current coming out of, kind of schizophrenic current coming out of the cultural field in our societies, which is kind of anti-market, and which doesn't allow us to reflect in a constructive way what we are actually doing and how we want to kind of be responsible for what we're doing. And that is that none of us in this room, and also probably in our society, I would just now very arrogantly presuppose, is interested in getting outside of the market. And what does that mean? It means that none of us is interested in being subsistent. That means none of us is willing, as cultural values in that sense, that is willing to give up a certain specialization in what we do. The moment that we are interested in being specialized in what we do, we are in the market. No? We will have to exchange what we do, make it a product, and then exchange it with our peers for something we need, most importantly our basic needs. Yeah? So we have to produce something which is so relevant that we can choose it with somebody else, we can change it with somebody else to get some money, to change this money with those 5 to 20% which are producing things like housing, food, which heating, maybe things we actually need here. So that's what. So this is kind of the discursive, what I tried to outline. I hope it's sort of clear. This is the discursive formation. Thank you. This is some water.
Whoa.
So this is the discursive formation in which my question, can there be a progress which is not a technological progress, takes place? Yeah. So which means can we imagine a social or cultural process which takes up this function of technological process on the innovation side, so which allows people to be, opens up new fields of occupation or new fields of activity which we are interested in, which we can involve in, which we can participate in, and most importantly also make an income out of. Yeah? And so this is a question which is which for a long time I've been thinking about, and it's of course very difficult to imagine an answer, but let's say with my work I'm trying to propose an answer which would be a product, the creation of product which is a constructed situation, or which is a transformation of a situation, or which is a kind of transformation of actions. Yeah. So normally products we sell and buy or exchange today are transformations of material. No? Like this glass or this book is transformation of wood. This is a transformation of some minerals. This is a transformation of a whole lot of things, including oil. And then we have obviously services, and services are transformations of actions and transformations of material. So, for example, the technician sitting at the back, he is just selling the service, being a technician, which is obviously a service. It's an action. Hello, sorry to talk about you, but his service is the knowledge to know. What?
It's a very good one.
It's the knowledge to know how to use this transformation of material, that machine there. Yeah. So it's a kind of hybrid. Services today are a hybrid of transformation of material and transformation of actions. Yeah. So when the transformation of action side would be when he knows I have to press this button at that moment and he can actually do it. Yeah? So what I'm interested in is in a kind of, one could say, a pure service. So a service product which is just a transformation of action, so which side is not any longer a thing, a material thing, like the side of the technician is his board there, but the side is basically our bodies. No? And so this, but our bodies or the space, let's say, our bodies in the widest conception of our bodies. So this part is also part of our bodies, you know, the space in between us. And how, so this is obviously frightening to a lot of people, because as long as I talk about situations and constructed situations, and there's obviously a whole lot of history around this, also an art related to the situationists, although I think they constructed very little situations, but the scary thing arises in the moment where I say this has to be kind of sold. Yeah, this space, this transformed space, or these transformed actions, or these constructed situations, they have to be sold and bought. Otherwise, they do not fulfill their function. And yeah, so that then, I mean, I'm trying to propose, if you want to be kind of negative towards me, I'm trying to propose a kind of essentialist answer to the question. Then one could say that our society, I mean, it is, I think anyway, a question an affluent society like ours has to kind of answer, because obviously people have to make an income, and if they're thinking about this question consciously or not, they will all the time in a market economy try to think, what do people have demand for, and how can we produce something for this demand. And so I think that we are on the way to producing such constructed situations, because what we have a demand for as an affluent society, or as people, as rich people that we have a demand for differentiation of our personalities, or demand for differentiation of our subjectivity. So we have completely kind of, completely cool about the fact that we will live tomorrow and that we will have enough to eat and stuff, which other generations probably weren't. They were worrying about that. But we are very much concerned about kind of our personality, how we differ from other people, the kind of the shaping of our individuality. So this is a demand, and I think this demand is being met at the moment, but in a kind of, in a way of a kind of in the way of our period, which is, I think, is a kind of a period of historical transition from, let's say, an age of kind of production of things to an age to a production of subjectivity. So what we today have is, let's say, if you buy certain sneakers, what you buy is, on the one hand, like in, let's say, 400 years ago, you buy the fact that you need shoes, yeah? But you also buy subjectivity. You buy a differentiation of who you are, no? But these things are always linked. I think this. Another nice example, which I was thinking about this morning, or no, yesterday morning in the hotel, is I don't have a mobile phone, but I watch these advertisements for mobile phones, and now the newest thing is that they have kind of video ringtones. So you have a ringtone and a video playing when you get an SMS. So which I would say, in a kind of strangest tweak of maybe what the situation is wanted, is one of the first products which really has a kind of situationist feel, which has this feel of a détournement or interruption or intervention of a situation, in the sense that the situation is going quite normal, is ordered, and suddenly this machine blinks and inserts a complete other element into the situation, and the product is to have this, to be able to repeat this construction.
My mobile phone just now.
Yeah, but you don't have the video ringtone. So, yeah, the thing about...
You don't know.
Well, I didn't see what happened, but the thing is, of course, that when the video ringtone happens, there's a kind of like, this kind of moment of, yeah, okay, my phone is ringing and I'm dancing and something's happening, and a kind of artificialization of this everyday situation, which is outside the realm of a purely kind of logic of the utilitarian. Kind of, I'm going to do things and they're going to have a certain end. No, it's kind of ornamentation of daily life situations. So this is a question. So maybe to end my presentation, how long did I speak? It was supposed to be 20 minutes.
You're fine.
Fine. Is it too short or too long? But just to finish it off, and then I'll be happy to try and answer if there is maybe Ulla's question. But this is the question: can there be a progress which is not a technological progress? Is my question, and then I'm trying to find some answers or give some answers to this with my work, and also I'm interested in seeing other people's answers, because I think that if they know it or not, they are working on this question.